Hello, hello, hello. Hey, it's your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you for another episode of the Author Spotlight. It's your host with the most, your chief book officer himself. I'm glad to be with you today as I have my man, Mr. Jeff Kelly, in the building. Say hello to the people, Jeff.
How you doing? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever everyone's watching this at, what time that is, what time zone. How you doing? I hope you're well.
Awesome, awesome, man. I'm excited. This new platform that's out for, at the time of this recording, depending on when you hear it, we were able to connect in the power of social media through a platform called Clubhouse. And Mr. Kelly was able to come into one of the rooms that we host there as well as podcasts. So, Jeff, if you don't mind, share with the people. We're going to dive deeper. Just share with the people, who you are, a little bit about who you are, and also, if you don't mind, just give them the name of the book and why did you write this book as the first book? So let's just leave it there. What's the name of the book and why did you write this book as your first book?
Absolutely. So my first book is titled The Avenue, Personal Dictionary. Um, I decided to write this book because I noticed at a certain point in my life, all the mediums that I used to escape my depression weren't sticking around. They weren't lasting as long as I'd hoped they would. They weren't helping me change. They weren't helping me find myself like I thought they would. And so once those mediums, whether it be relationships, therapy, everything that was it was in the circumference of my life, I kind of relied on to try to find myself, and it just wasn't working. So I decided to take a forward, a very tough but healthier approach, and that was self-reflection. So that's what the writing process for the book really was about. It was really just to write about the things I would avoid for the longest of times. I would write about the things I feared with the goal, the intention to try to find myself. And it just started off as like a few pages, a few journal entries. It turned into a book, and here we are today. My book actually just went number one on Amazon, so I think it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, congratulations, congratulations. It's so much to this that I want to unpack, and that's why I get excited by and wanted to make sure that I had you on. For those who don't know it or not, but he's not, when I say he's Jeff is not like he's extroverted or whatnot. He could be seen to some as an introvert, but just overcoming the obstacles, overcoming the hurdles in life is something that I see that's a common denominator in the story of Jeff. Um, Being able to use his pain and make it a product. You see him on the show like this, but it was a maturation process. This just is a testament to his healing and his dedication to continuing what was started, creating that habit to continue to have progression, at least 1% or more each and every day. For someone who's listening to this is where when you hear those who say that creating the content or writing the book was therapeutic, this is the prime example of that, what you see with Jeff Kelly. And I want those who are listening, writing a book might be for you the catalyst to you getting that business, that nonprofit, your relationship right. There's so many other areas, and I can attest to that, Jeff, because with me, even me personally, my first book, it was a springboard that led to this company, that led to other ventures that I'm a part of, because what I had to basically put all of me into that book. There are areas that I had to do what you brought up with that self-reflection. I had to address and look, as the great Michael Jackson once said, the man or the woman in the mirror. I had to look
Mm-hmm.
at me. I had to deal with the inconsistencies with me. I had to deal with Darren M. Palmer. Yeah, the one that you hear, the host with the most, the one that you see with this number one self-publishing company, all that. At that time, Darren wasn't finishing anything. I
Right.
had great thoughts. I could come up with an idea, but when it came to, you know, persevering, when it came to make sure that I was able to continue to do it or whatnot. Repetition is the key to learning. When it comes to that type of stuff like that, I will fall off the bandwagon. I will start some, it wouldn't have completion. And so, Jeff, I want you to dive a little bit into, your story. I know that you share this in the book, and we want definitely for those to get the book, we'll have the information in the show notes. But it's one thing to know that you want to do the book. It's one thing to capture it. But let's break down some bite-sized pieces to them. It's a lot of people that know they should write a book or books, but how were you able to create steps to allow for you to create the content for the book? Was this getting up early? Was this blocked off time? Was this recording, ghost written? What did you do, Jeff? Share a little bit with the people.
Yeah, so my writing process, I kind of dedicated my evenings to like a good maybe 2 to 3 hours of my evenings, probably to like between 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., sometimes 11, just to dedicate to writing. I really always felt comfortable in the nighttime. I feel like my thoughts kind of flowed better, especially after like a long day. I feel like the writing process to me was like it was like kind of became like equivalent to like a nightcap in a sense, like a glass of wine at the end of a long day, and it just felt good to just center myself and just be able to focus in an environment that I created to be comfortable enough to write. And I did that for 4 years. It was always in the nighttime. Many hurdles that I went through during the writing process were really my fault. I became lazy at certain points. Again, it's about my depression. My depression took over during these writing processes, but I always made sure to at least try every night from 7 to 11 o'clock, whether I came up with anything or not, to try to write, because I had already put the idea in my head that I wanted to do this. So once I get an idea, I can't let it go, no matter how many times I got lazy, no matter how many times I got like too depressed to even write or motivated to do it. So I always made sure to dedicate my time in the evenings to write.
See, I love it. You know, I'm thrilled that Jeff shared that with us because there's different levels. Whatever floats your boat, find your lane. The same thing doesn't work for everyone. That's why that question is asked. It was his nightcap. I love that. Similar to like a glass of wine. You see the wordplay. You know, he's over here dropping bars on us already. Don't let it fool you. Don't let Jeff fool you. My
Yeah,
man
yeah,
got bars all day for you all out there and whatnot. You know, he got great
right.
content. So somebody else could be they're recording. Somebody else it might be they have their phone and they're at work and they're just texting when they get a break to
Hmm.
put it in there whatnot in their notes. It could be recording yourself on the way on your commute to work for those who are still working in a physical location. So I just want to bring that up because Jeff is allowed for us to know he found what worked for him. You have to find what works for you. Now, you can extract from these authors just like Jeff and implement some of the things that he's done and see if that's a fit for you. But don't get tied into one area or one thing because it might be different for you. For someone out there who got kids, it might be after you get the kids to sleep. It might be after you get, someone off to school. For somebody else, it might be, taking a hiatus or whatnot and just creating as much content and, just like someone who's studying or cramming or whatnot for a final exam or whatever that may look like. So don't allow just one boot camp, one writing seminar, or one symposium to ensnare you into that way that particular author writes or they create content. Find your own lane. Do you agree with that, Jeff?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of interviews recently, and a lot of people have been asking me like just for advice. And depending on what the topic of what they're looking to explore, I kind of always end with just do what makes you feel comfortable. I'm always going to express what I did for me, but what I did for me isn't going to work for you. So you have to always try to find what works for you no matter what.
And with this being out, you already shared some of the accolades, but Jeff, what did it mean to you, man? Let's take it back to us, man. You number one on Amazon, you got this done. Some of the darkness, some of the moments of depression, some of the things that you had to overcome, the conception of when you thought about this, and so many times you had the opportunity to quit, but you was able to
Mhm.
persevere through this, man, to get to this point. I know it's just the beginning on this, but you embarked on this journey where so many, man, it's a lot of skeletons of people who started off on this journey to be an author, they never make it. So
Right.
tell the audience, what does it feel like to you knowing I got the book in my hand? I'm a number one bestseller from someone who was fighting his depression over 4 years, fighting to get this done. How does that feel now, man?
Honestly, I've been having this conversation all week. My book came out Sunday, and so I always knew this would be a reality. I always knew that my book would be number one, no matter what I thought or any type sort of pessimism that tried to like invade my brain. I'm such a futurist. I saw this. I literally saw this every night before I went to sleep. Every day when I was awake, I saw this. And when I got here, my first initial thought, as soon as I saw my book at number one, I was after the excitement settled down. My first thought was, of course this happened because I knew this. And I kind of feel like that thought process kind of developed into a bit of imposter syndrome. Um, so I'm still kind of dealing with it right now. Like it's still very fresh. Like I'm the first author in my family, and I'm the first number one author in my family. So that's like a big feat. But I'm still kind of processing it more and more. Even you saying and you reminded me that I said that I got these accolades. It's like, oh, I did. That's cool. Like, wow. So it feels really good. I'm really, really proud. But again, I knew this would happen. So it's like, I'm ready to go on to the next thing. I'm ready to talk to you about publishing my next book. So, but I'm trying as best as I can to remain present and enjoy this moment because this took 4 years of my life. And so it's exciting, but it's also familiar.
Okay, and you know what, you brought up a great point, and I went over that earlier, and I'm glad that you brought it back because I want to segue into this before we close it out. Okay, Jeff is, because some of the things that he's been through, Jeff is built differently because he's overcoming other areas in his life. The book is just a component to the overall, more than a conqueror mentality and the self-image that he has, of manifesting, of visualizing what he's won, not allowing for fear to set in and cripple him. But for those who are listening out there, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to self-assess. You got to look at that person in the mirror and understand this. Seek out help.
Yeah.
Seek out help. Yeah, Jeff was able to knock out a lot of stuff, but it was 4 years. Okay, so even though it sounds great, but you don't have to try to build your own vehicle that you're going to drive. You know, and I want those who are listening, and this hit me. Somebody had to make me understand this, and I share this in conferences that I go to and I'm speaking at. How many people, if we're saying that we really want to help people, how many people have to commit suicide? How many people, relationships and marriages are falling apart? How many people are having issues when it comes to parenting, their finances? How many businesses have to fail? How many people got to go into bankruptcy because they don't have financial literacy? How many people not being able to transfer the skills that they have in corporate or whatever arena because they've been furloughed, or able to transfer their skill set into another arena, of those soldiers who are coming home, or those who are coming out the penal system and trying to find a way to adapt or acclimate back into society, that's getting caught up in recidivism. Because somebody out there who's listening to this, you are thinking you are super deep and you're using the P word for perfectionist, but really you're procrastinating.
Hmm.
You're saying you want to help people, but because you want it to be perfect, and you're deceiving yourself of saying that I got to make sure that it's right because I don't want to put nothing on my name, nothing goes with my name that I'm not doing right. I got to ask you this: the person who's starving, do you think that person is really somebody who's really starving? I'm not saying somebody out there just getting over on somebody. So let me knock that negative idea down before we go forward. But someone who's actually needing a meal, they're really not concerned that you weren't able to put the basil on the soup the way that you normally do, or you didn't have your favorite ingredient. That person wanted a hot meal because they needed something to eat. For someone who is deprived in certain areas of their life, where they're lacking something, the confidence, sometimes they got attached to someone else who made it through to help them get the clarity in their mind to change their self-image that they can make it through too. So I want those out there who are super intellectual and you want perfection and not. No, 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 no. There's no such thing as a perfect book. Do I mean that you need to come out with trash and not do your best? Yes, but make sure you do your due diligence. That's what accountability. That's what a supporting cast helps you do, is get the book done in a quicker time frame. because you don't know who is hurting, who is dying, who is falling off, who doesn't know how they're going to make it because they don't have your story. And I don't care what's at Barnes and Nobles. I don't care all the books that's on Amazon. There's somebody waiting for your story. Can you speak to that, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those people, those who are looking for just that relatability, that someone who understands them without knowing them type of story. That's part of the reason why I wrote that. I mean, the story started off, the book, it's not really a story, but I guess it is my story. The book started off as simply just for me and my healing. And then as I looked over it more and reread it, I realized that other people can benefit from this story, this book. And that's who my purpose in life is to help heal and inspire. So through every extension of that, of my purpose, everything I do is with that intention. And this book is just the start of that. So I do it for those people who feel like that they maybe feel like they don't have the strength to do anything, or to have the confidence to do anything, like write a book, for example. But I do it for those people who feel lost and need that guidance, because I want to be for people that I didn't have, like a mentor, a guide, like, so now that I've here and I've arrived and I've made my name with my book, I want to keep going with my other books and other things I want to do, and just be that shining light for other people.
You know, if you don't mind, before we get out of here, I do want to please give them the opportunity share. I mean, I know the information will be in the show notes, but could you
Yeah.
share with the audience where can they get the book? How can they follow you? Whether it's social media handles, hashtags, website information. Please share those details now, Jeff, if you don't mind, please, sir.
Absolutely. You can get my book, The Avenue of Personal Dictionary, on Amazon. Just type in The Avenue of Personal Dictionary, or maybe even type in my name. You'll find it, Jeff Kelly. The ebook version is $2.99, and the paperback is 15. But I have like extra copies. So if anyone's interested in getting an early copy, just reach out to me on social media. My Instagram is at theav360, and my Twitter is THT Ambitious Guy, that ambitious guy. If you just reach out to me directly, looking to get a free copy, I'll definitely send that out to you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's what you get here on the off the spotlight. You know, generous people. That's why the law of reciprocity keeps working in Jeff's favor. Jeff, before we close it out, man, I want you to speak to that person who's thinking to themselves, man, Jeff seemed like he got it all together. I'm fighting depression. Why would somebody want to hear from me? I'm trying to picture Jeff, but man, Jeff is on author spotlight. Jared, Jeff is talking to Darren Palmer, man. I'm not in those circles. I didn't talk to Darren on Clubhouse. I'm not Steve Harvey. I'm not Oprah Winfrey. I'm not Carlos Slim in Mexico or Warren Buffett. I don't know if I want to share my story, but I don't know if I can overcome, man. Could you share with that person who's straddling the fence about sharing their story with the world, why they should share their story with the world?
Absolutely. Because first of all, the one thing I would say is own your individuality, own your uniqueness. I'm on this platform today because of my story and my uniqueness. You'll be on this platform for your own version of that. So if you own the fact that whether you look east, west, north, or south, you'll never see anyone who has your story. You'll never meet anyone who can do what you do. You never meet anyone with your story and your energy. So if you just embrace that fact early on in your entrepreneurial creative journey, and you move with that as you move along, then you'll never lose, because you'll realize that you are one of one. What you do cannot be replicated, and you'll end up on this platform and even bigger platforms if you just own that. Own your uniqueness, own your individuality, and never lose your confidence.
Wow, that's it. My man just dropped the mic. Jeff Kelly, everybody, we are excited, man. We thank you, brother, for taking time out your schedule. It's not every day when you get the best-selling author on here live, saying fresh off the market, being the bestseller on the author spotlight. So this is a treat, but don't waste this. Don't waste this moment. Don't waste this opportunity. Don't just get goosebumps. Be excited because of the things that's happened for Jeff. Jeff created the content that he created so it can inspire you to take the steps, to take action. So if you want to celebrate the moment with Jeff, then yes, get the book. Definitely, we want you to do that. Invest in yourself. Get some information that's going to continue to pour into you when you might have those moments that you don't feel at your apex or feel your best. But also remind, if you want to do a favor or do something that aligns with the book, what Jeff created the book for, actually do something. Own your confidence. And that's by doing what you know you should be doing. If you get into lack of confidence, it's typically because you're lying to yourself. You know that you're supposed to be doing something that you're not, and then that keeps a defeated mindset because you know that you're not doing what you're capable of doing or what you know you should be doing. And it's a compound effect of whatnot where you keep jumping on yourself. So don't allow that to happen to you. Do Jeff a favor, go and get the book. The information is in the show notes. But Jeff, we're gonna have to bring you back, man. Look at that amazing book. Hold it up for the people one more time, Jeff.
Here it is.
Congratulations to you, brother.
Thank you.
Amazing job. As we get out of here, thank you, Jeff, for coming on. For those who are tuned in, you all are the real MVPs. Remember that if you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great.
Absolutely.